And we burn incense in regard to the precepts, meditation, emancipation. May the light and fragrant cloud of this incense pervade in our world. We offer this incense to the countless Buddhas of the world within 10 directions. May we be able to see and partake of the fragrance of the world of tranquil extinction. Okay.
Also have our speaker later, who is going to be speaking on joy and the themes. And so I wanted to kind of put this in context to our particular practice. Today we're going to do Shoeizan, and we're going to a different style of chanting. What is neat about this style of chanting is that rather than having us all at the same cadence, with a drum or a variety of rhythms, whatever it is, it's not going to be what's going to lead us. Today, what's going to lead us is each person's breath. So the duration of your breath in chanting the mantra will be your duration, and not everyone's going to sync up together. Right? So we'll have some that are going very slow, some that are going faster. We'll have some that na, and some that kyo, and some that mu, and some that ren, and that's okay. right? That's what we want. And the reason that I want to point this out is that our practice is the practice of sowing rather than reaping. As a reminder, to sow means to plant, to reap means to harvest. And so the initial teachings of the Buddha are a form of Buddhism, the Buddhism of reaping the harvests of calm and patience and all of these things. But as the Buddha continues to progress in his teachings, what he ends up teaching is that the true way to peace and harmony and connection is actually to sow the seeds of Buddhism, to sow the seeds of calm and quiet and the potential of becoming a Buddha in every being that we meet, without judgment, without picking one is better than another, one's more capable, that it's really upon us to differentiate and use expedient means in order to share the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha's Dharma. And one of the analogies used in the Lotus Sutra is of a rain cloud. Now, we talk about the Dharma, the cooling water of the Dharma, which means that it's a teaching that helps to cool the passions of all sentient beings, all thinking and feeling beings. And Buddhism doesn't place any inscription as to whether or not those beings are supernatural or natural. We don't know. So we know that in all scriptures from all religions, that all beings, be they spirits or gods, exhibit some sort of human-style emotion. Wrath, pleasure, anger, pain, all of these things, disappointment. And this is the cooling water of the Dharma that comes and is allowed to work on all sentient beings, all thinking beings, be they omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, or whether or not they are very limited beings, or whether or not they're animals or plants. And so the analogy used in the Lotus Sutra is that the Buddha's Dharma is like a rain cloud, and the rain comes down. And when the rain comes down, it comes down on all the plants equally. But the trees take it up a little bit differently than the fruit trees, right? And the shrubs take it up a little differently than the grasses, and the grasses take it up a little differently than the weeds. And each one has a different niche that they fill. And so that this teaching of the Buddha is going to be slightly different for each person, each tree, each unique being that it comes into contact with, in order to best speak to that unique individual being at the time that's necessary with the causes and conditions that it has. So today we're practicing Shoeizan. One of the things I love about Shoeizan as a beginning practice and as an advanced practice for anyone is that it actually combines all of the full pantheon of Buddhist practices, whether it's seated meditation, in insight meditation, or concentration meditation. It's right there in the silent practice. But then we also have a mantra. Namu. So the mantra is also another form of meditation. It's a form of meditation that allows us all to connect with each other and to have a physical action that is occupying our brain and our body while we connect with our greater Buddha nature, the Buddha natures of all those beings around us, and open up to joy, so to speak, and lose our sense of self amongst the sense of the polyculture of all of the beings around us. So, in our basic Shoeizan, the first thing we do is we provide a reverent bow. And in Buddhism, at least in Nichiren Buddhism, our highest mudra, hand sign, is bringing together the yin and the yang, the yin and the yang, the male and the female, high and the low, however you want to look at it, together. And this in all cultures means I respect the entity that you are, the holistic being that you are. We then follow this with Namu. Namu is just the Japanese transliteration of the Sanskrit namaste. Namu is the root, which means to revere, to bow, to honor, to serve, to acknowledge, whether it's to acknowledge the potential deity inside every person, the whole and integral person that they are, the fact that they are a unique animal or a plant, or however you want to view them, we bow to their potential. Buddha within inside them, their infinite capacity. And then we add Myoho Renge Kyo. Myoho is the mysterious or universal. The universe, the teaching that we're talking about, the rain cloud. Myo means mystical, universal, wonderful. Ho means law, teaching, the way. The ren is the lotus, right? The lotus is the symbol of us. We are these beautiful potential flowers that can only grow in the rooted muck and mire of everyday life. We can only reach our highest potential rooted in the crap of life. So, within this initial moment, we acknowledge the entire teaching of Buddhism with simply putting our hands together in bowing and saying, Gassho. Then we proceed to Dojo Kan. The dojo is we associate with martial arts. But dojo means place of the way. The place that we go to train, the place that we go to study. It's not dependent on one specific thing, Buddhism, martial arts, but it's the place that we study. Maybe the place that you put your effort in study if you were an herbalist is in the woods, a specific place. That's your dojo. That's your place of the way. And what we have to acknowledge immediately in the grand scheme of the universe, and now we're going to bring in mathematics and science, right? Because that's part of all this too, is that this place in which we find ourselves now is a dojo, a place of Buddhist training. So anywhere I go, anywhere I honor the Dharma, anywhere I sit is a place of training. Which means that nowhere I go is not a holy place. Wherever I chant the Daimoku, wherever I sit in meditation, wherever I show loving kindness to another being, that's a holy place. That's a holy place just like this temple. All Buddhas come to this place and attain perfect enlightenment. Every Buddha comes to this moment of life and suffering and dealing with things as they are. We would say Jiso, ultimate reality as it is. Because like lotus flowers, Buddhas cannot grow in perfect conditions. Buddhas have to grow in difficult conditions. What's going to challenge you otherwise? How are you ever going to want to cessate suffering for yourself and others if you don't suffer something? You don't understand what that is. If your suffering is not getting Starbucks on time, it's going to be a little different than our congregations in Venezuela who can't seem to get water or power. All Buddhists come to this place and turn the wheel of the Dharma. That means that all beings, all prophets, all teachers, all wise people, all grandmothers, all grandfathers, all these people come to this place, this infinite knowledge and wisdom that's inherent in each of us, in each of you as well. You are part of all of this. You're an integral part of this whole flow. So that means that every enlightened being, every defiled being, every being comes to the same place to find this understanding of the ultimate reality of things as they are, the Myoho. And then the final is that we acknowledge that all Buddhas come to this place to enter into Nirvana, to enter into the unsurpassed way. All Buddhas have to come to this place. They have to come into being, to birth, and suffering and life in order to reach their highest potential. In Buddhism, we have three jewels: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is the example, symbolized by the characters on either side of the central mantra down the middle, Namu, Kyo. Immediately to the right, immediately to the left, by the names of the Buddha, Shakyamuni, and Buddha Tapa. So, immediately we venerate the three treasures of Buddhism, which is the Buddha, the example, the human being, not a God, but a human being that taught a teaching. That when he passed away, all that remained was the teaching itself, the Dharma. So we venerate the example and the teaching. But the thing that people forget often is the third jewel, which is the Sangha, the community. Initially, that community was simply the monks who practiced Buddhism, and the only way to honor the Sangha was for you to give donations as a layperson of money or food or space, whatever it is, to the monks. But in the broader concept of Mahayana Buddhism that comes later through the Buddha in the last 12 years of his life, more specifically in the Lotus Sutra and the Nirvana Sutra, we see that concept of Sangha broadens to all sentient beings. All thinking and feeling beings are members of our community, our Sangha. That by bringing our hands together in Gassho and bowing to their Buddha nature, by chanting our mantra, Namu, I take refuge in the Lotus Sutra of the Wonderful Law. We are saying I take refuge in the teaching of the Buddha, which means that I'm taking refuge in the Buddha, and I'm taking refuge into those that practice this Dharma, or even those who don't practice this Dharma. So after venerating this concept, we look scientifically at where we're at in the universe, and we say it is difficult to be born as a human being. In the grand scheme of the universe, with all of these infinite possibilities, we yet have found another planet with life. Okay? So just the fact that you were born on a planet with life in the grand scheme of the mathematics of the universe is pretty cool. Like, that's pretty awesome, right? And the fact that on this giant planet, in all of the time periods that you could possibly be born, you were born into a very prosperous country, into a very good situation. Maybe you had good parents, maybe you didn't have parents, but you're here now, which means that you had some sort of merit, some sort of connection to the Buddhist Dharma. And this is a difficult thing. This is mathematically not likely, right? In the grand scheme of all religions and all of these things that you ended up here today. For that matter, in the grand scheme of things, if you were having an argument with your most hated enemy, it's still a rare thing for you to be born as a human being to have the opportunity to have an argument with your most hated enemy. Right? So that's a rare occurrence. And we have to acknowledge that I have now realized such birth. To take gratitude. I mean, how many times have we sat and thought how crappy our lives are? I'm a new parent. I can be honest. Even as a minister, I have thought at times how crappy my life is at 3 o'clock in the morning when my child will not sleep and nothing I can do will get him to. So, does that make me completely and totally, I need to throw the baby with the bathwater? I'm never going to find any sort of peace or enlightenment or anything? No. But what I have to realize is that through Buddhism, through the Dharma, through the Lotus Sutra, I've recontextualized my life because I've already been assured of enlightenment in the Lotus Sutra just by having even heard the Lotus Sutra even 1/50th of a syllable. So therefore, that means that all of these causes and conditions are really, really important for me to attain my highest potential. So I can't push them away. I have to embrace them. I'm lucky to have them. To hear the teaching of the Buddha is difficult. Again, within the grand scheme of all of the philosophies out there that people espouse and all of the ways and modes that people live in, to hear even this teaching is really difficult. I see people all the time who walk past this room, and they must have some sort of connection to even walk past the temple, but for whatever reason, it's hard for them to even walk inside, to even look over. There's something inside, they're not ready. It's not my place to force them to either. But they have some sort of connection. Even once we had someone steal from the temple outside. We had our very first little shoe racks that someone stole. First night. And I was like, Sensei, blah, blah, someone stole. And he said, oh, well, don't worry about it. They have some sort of connection. You know, it's their merit. It's their connection. I have now been able to hear it. I've now been able to hear the Dharma. I take responsibility for that. And I take refuge in the Buddha, the example, the Dharma, the teaching, and the Sangha of the way. And then I follow that with Namu. I take refuge in the Myoho mystical law of the Renge Lotus Flower Kyo Sutra. So, when lotuses bloom in a pond, Not all of them make it to break the surface. Not all the seeds root and plant. But the interesting thing is that some will bloom under the water, and some will bloom above the water, on the water, way above the water. Some are perfectly symmetrical, some are asymmetrical, some are shaped like hearts, some have petals on one side longer than petals on the other. But every one of them is unique. Every one of them is still a lotus flower. And every one of them is reaching their highest potential based on the causes and conditions from which they grow. One lotus flower is not better than another. They are just lotus flowers. Within the context of the Lotus Sutra, each of us, just by having heard the sutra even mentioned, having heard the mantra, Namu is, as far as the Buddha says in the Lotus Sutra, already a Buddhist saint. Already one of the bodhisattvas who will come from under the earth and share the Buddha's dharma in the latter age of degeneration in Mako. Because Buddha said even Buddhism is going to go through phases, where it's going to be totally obvious what the Buddha meant. People knew him personally. And then people are like, well, I knew someone who knew the Buddha. And then it starts to change. And then it's like, well, I'm going to imitate someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew the Buddha. And then eventually the teaching starts to get confused. Well, there's so many sutras, there's so many this, there's so many that. What was he trying to say? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Well, you should do it like this, you should do it like that. Well, if you don't do it like that, then you're not one of these, and I'm going to be one of them. But all lotus flowers are beautiful. They all have the same infinite potential. They all must be rooted in the muck and mire of everyday life to reach that potential. And that the purpose of reaching your potential is not for yourself. It's to help someone else reach their potential. So therefore, everything that we do helps to create these continuing causes and conditions for other beings. Do we want to be the kind of causes and conditions that make it very difficult to grow, that poison the soil all around us? You know, some plants, in order to protect themselves, the black walnut, will make sure that nothing can grow around them, so that the black walnut can grow strong and grow more black walnuts. But other plants are very good at being harmonious. Take comfrey, for example. Comfrey puts in lots of amazing potassium and nitrogen in the soil. You can tear it off and throw it on the ground, and it's a great green compost. You can put it in water and let it kind of rot, and it turns into a great liquid fertilizer. It's also a pretty flower, and you can also use it for medicine. It's got a variety of functions and purposes. But it's best when it's grown together with other things. So for us as Buddhists, we have to acknowledge that perhaps we are best able to reach our highest potential by helping those around us reach their highest potential, by creating wonderful soil, not only around them, but around us, so that more beneficial plants and herbs grow. And when something blooms that perhaps we perceive as antagonistic or dangerous, that we don't immediately just rip it out of the ground, we study it. We ask, what is this good at? What's its purpose? What's its function? Without judgment. So today, as we chant Namu, please look at this like the loving fertilizer of the Dharma that we are trying to put out into the universe to create this beautiful soil around us for all beings to reach their highest potential. Doesn't mean that we are trying to convert everyone to become a Buddhist. That is not necessarily what I'm saying. If you can, more power to you. But what I am saying is nurture the soil. Remind people of loving kindness. Remind people of their mission, even if it's not, by saying hi at someone like me. Okay. So, dedicate your merit today as you chant up and loud and bright, and we're all going to be at different rhythms. Okay, so this is a style of chanting that goes back to the Edo period of Japan, where people would chant all day long, and so someone was always chanting, and the rates are going to go different. It's going to be based on your breath. And so, to give you an example, we are not a dirgeful form of Buddhism. We are up, out, and bright. So we try to give it out. Namu myo renge kyo. Now the lay leaders understand the style of chanting, so you'll hear them. Initially, it may feel weird. Maybe you're under your breath a little bit, like it feel weird. That's okay. Maybe you just want to listen. That's okay too. Maybe you want to just belt it out. That's okay too. Sure. Right. Dojo Kan. Receiving the dojo. Know this place in which we find ourselves now is a dojo, a place of Buddhist training. All Buddhas come to this place and attain perfect enlightenment. All Buddhas come to this place and turn the wheel of the Dharma. All Buddhas come to this place and enter into nirvana. Om Santi, the three treasures. It is difficult to be born as a human being. I have now realized such worth. To hear the teaching of the Buddha is difficult. I have now been able to hear it. I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Namu myo renge kyo. I don't eat. Right hand, left hand, thumbs touching, centered over your palms lightly. Tongue in the roof of your mouth, just behind the top teeth if you can. Sit towards the front of your chair. Allow your legs, the top of your thighs, and the front of your shins to form a 90-degree angle. Feet straight, tilt out like this, or slightly pinned in is fine. So when you breathe in fully. Hold your breath slightly and breathe out. If you can, do it with your nose. In and out through your nose using your diaphragm to breathe. If you come regularly, you have some teachings on this. If you don't, please come, and I'll be happy to share anything that you'd like. But we're doing diaphragm breathing. Gojingyo, calming meditation. Silent meditation to center and calm the mind and body so that we may chant these whole guided movements.
No.
Please place your hands in the hole. How are you doing? How are you doing? Teaching yoga, awareness meditation. Silent meditation to feel the sublime dharma of Yodaimoku, preciousness. control. Echo, prayer. We respect you deeply. You will all be able to practice the way of Bodhisattvas and become Buddhas. May the merits we have accumulated by this offering be distributed among all living beings, and may we and all other living beings attain the enlightenment of the day. We remember those in sickness and distress, as well as those who have passed in mourning. Remember Ava Adams and Jack Malone, Kim Williams and Ricky Taboe, Aaron Williams, and Ocean, Julian's Buddy Jackson, and Jerry Hartsinger, Louise Maga, the people of Venezuela, the inner city of Rochester, Jerry Kazmarsky and Kristen Kazmarsky, Armando Rivera, Melissa Rivera, Monty Weaver, Elijah Chapman, and Jaden Chapman. If anyone has someone else they wish to name, please say their name now.
I have a little girl called Ursula. The ATV fell on her and she has got severe injuries. She may not make it.
So Ursula, please chant.
Namu myo renge kyo.
We also remember those who have passed during this week. We remember Jean Knock, who passed away on 8/21/2013. Remember Teresa A. Paquin, the first member of our Western New York Sangha, who passed away on 8/22/2002. We remember Gary T. Taboe, who passed away on 8/22/2000. Elaine Butch Winter, my grandmother, who passed away on 7/22/1994. We also remember Lucille S. F. Schoaf, who passed away on 11/25/1995.
Namu myo renge kyo. Namu myo renge kyo. Namu myo renge kyo.
Right high. Farewell, Musto. Yui Gansho Oushin. breath where you like and come again out of your
Passes towards us.
Thank you all very much. Today, all of our voices join together like the blossoming lotus in the pond. Temple helps serve as a cooling pond. All put them in our own way and our own unique methods. Please remember that this is not the place where flowers should take root. Just to remind you of the original practice, you get out there and do the good work and make fertile causes and conditions all around you for all of the other sentient beings to reach their highest. Thank you very much. We have quite a slate of events today. We have our normal pop lunch and lunch, so hopefully somebody remembers their own.
Sure.
So we have homemade kimchi and rice and potluck and sugar.
And we have.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know you showed
James?